G'day friends, Yoshi here. Thanks for tuning in, and as always, it is good to see you. Now, you may have seen on the NVIDIA and GeForce forums, I was asking people what games they wanted me to benchmark on this GTX 1050 Ti, the Asus Dual one specifically, and I figured we'll start off with some FPS stuff first. People wanted to see Overwatch, plus NVIDIA were kind enough to send me Titanfall 2 as well. Didn't have the game yet, and I wanted to give it a crack. So I've run both of those, capturing the footage using NVIDIA Shadow Player on my standard benchmarking PC. So Intel 6700K, 16 gig of HyperX RAM, basic Fury HyperX SSD, nothing too fancy, but the GPU's gonna be the 1050 Ti, and the CPU's got a little bit of grunt behind it. Now, in both these cases, I optimized using GeForce Experience, and they gave me kind of like a high graphics setting. I'm like, well, we know that's gonna work. It's what GeForce recommends. Let's go higher. So I turned both Overwatch and Titanfall 2 into the highest settings that they would allow, bar like a couple of filtering things, and of course VSync was off. But apart from that, it was all maxed out, way higher than what GeForce Experience recommended. And what surprised me here is that in both cases, the games were still running at a solid 60 frames per second. So it was always 60 in Overwatch's case. Titanfall 2 was 60 almost all the time, was occasionally dropping to about 55, only for a small bit, a negligible difference. Game crashed a couple times, but I think that's probably more the fault of Origin, because Origin was crashing out and meant Titanfall 2 kind of just hiccuped. But when it wasn't doing that, both those games were running amazingly, which kind of shocked me, given that the GeForce Experience recommended a lower setting, so you really can kind of crank the card a little bit to make the most of it. Granted, of course, it also does rely a little bit on, what CPU you're running, RAM and all of that, but the fact that the GPU was able to crank out this much power for both of those games, and Titanfall 2 is incredibly recent, and keep in mind, yes, Blizzard wants Overwatch to run on everything, it's not that old. It's still a recent title. So this card, even though yes, there's the 1070 and the 1080 out there, the 1050 Ti still packs a really surprisingly large amount of punch. I can't wait to test it with other games that are a bit more intensive, like Forza Horizon 3, Gears of War 4, to see what I'm going to get out of it. And there'll be another video for those on this channel soon, so keep an eye out. I'll probably playlist them or something like that, and you can check those ones out if you so choose. But for those who are buying this, I guess with FPSs in mind, I'd say it's a solid card. Can't argue it. It's playing decent FPSs at a good rate. Always plenty of other FPSs to test, so your mileage may vary. But with those two, it's running solid. If you do want me to test any other games as well, I am reading the NVIDIA and GeForce forums. There's a particular thread where I'm getting people to post what games they want me to pay. I'm kind of going through all of that, so check it out, have a squiz, post your suggestions, and as always, my friends, happy hunting.